at PCC.
Yeah.
Once he puts those heels on.
All right.
All right. So, welcome. So for today's session, it'll be both Lynn and myself. The title of the session is Optimizing Lab and Referral Workflows. And so, session goals, we're going to walk through some of PCC's suggested workflows, and we can learn how we can utilize tasking using fake users. And hopefully, maybe you learn a thing or two, and you might want to revisit and take a look at your workflows and take a look at their efficiencies. All right.
All right.
And I think,
I'm doing the first.
yep,
Do we have the EHR logged in?
yep.
Switch windows, switch windows. Magically. Ooh, you got a lot of stuff up there.
As long as it didn't kick me out.
I probably kicked you out.
Probably did. Looks like I might have.
Hold on, we're going to do a lot of this right through the EHR. So the slides that you have are literally the workflows we use for all new clients, or the ones we start them with. Doesn't mean they stay with them, but it's what we start them with. So it's in the slides. We're not going to show you the slides because we are literally just going to follow the slides, and hopefully we don't make a mistake. And we're going to log into our training database, which is what, did you just get kicked out? Rude.
All right.
Hold on, Nick's trying to log in again. It's because it's too little a screen. There you go.
There we go.
Perfect. Why did you get small again?
Yeah, what's just happened again?
Yeah. Can you guys see that in the back? Like, no. No, Jerry's in the back saying, no. All right, we'll see if we're going to make this larger. Maybe if you exit full screen and then fit the window. Wow. Sorry, RDP's being a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's log out.
so-
Here, I'm just going to come over
Well,
here.
you give it a shot as well.
I will scare it into working properly. Close, close, close. All right. We're going to log in again and see what happens. Of course, this totally isn't my laptop. Let's make it big first and then do it. Oh, why did you just do that to
doing
me?
again.
Nick's laptop is being a pain. Hold on, we did not, obviously. It worked for your other session.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Sorry, guys. We're just going to start the session in full screen and see if that helps.
This looks promising.
Is this basically going to be kind of a review of what's already on Word PCC?
It might be, yes.
Yep.
I don't want to be rude, but
Fine. I'm okay. We're also going to have discussion because what we teach you, you guys that have been live for a few years might say, yeah, no. So, you know. Oh, yeah. So let me repeat the question. Is this going to be what's on learn.pcc.com? The answer is yes. And the other question is going to be as well. I'm hoping that there's more discussion. Because if Nick and I just show you these things, we'll be done in about 15 minutes. And I'm hoping that you guys are like, Lynn, that's not how it works in the real world. And that's fine. Sorry, I got to remember my doctors I have to log in as here. Boom. Okay. I'm doing this as a nurse. So Nick and I will have, Nick will have more split personalities than I will because we're going to switch who's doing what. So he's going to be a nurse and a provider. I just get to do the nurse-only workflows. So our workflows are basically, it's going to be different based on your practice, right? Maybe the nurse orders things, maybe the provider's the only one that orders things. So we're going to show you both. We're going to show you the workflow where the nurse does the ordering and puts in the results, and we're going to show you the workflows where the provider does the ordering and assigns it to someone, and they do all the stuff, okay? Because different practices do it different ways. So I am going to, the first thing we are going to show you is in-office labs ordered by the nurse MAs, okay? So I'm going to go into my buddy Bam Bam. You'll notice he's already, oh, we didn't put him in a room. He's already checked in. He's with the nurse. I technically should have been in here already, but that's okay. So we're going to go to the sick visit and assume we've done all the charting that we're supposed to do, okay? We're not going to get into the details. We're going to instantly jump down to the lab, and we are going to order a rapid strep in office. Dude, I'm going to need my glasses to read your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and order that. Now, as the nurse MA, I'm ordering this. I don't need to assign it to anyone, okay? It does have memory, so if you want to assign it to yourself, you can. But a nurse MA is doing an order, they're doing it. They're putting in the results, they're completing it, okay? Sending it to somebody is really a step you don't need to do, all right? So they've ordered this, they've collected the specimen, and then they're waiting for the timer to go off, right? Bing, time's up, they take a look at it, and we're gonna mark this as a positive result. It's that simple, okay? They're then going to, and this may be something you guys don't do, they're then going to go back to the EHR, and they're actually, instead of saying ready provider, we're going to say results ready. Okay, so this is a new thing that we've started doing where we have a visit status that says results ready so the providers know that the results are ready. Okay, so instead of the provider saying, oh, that's ready for the provider, that doesn't mean that the lab results are done. Okay, so the results ready allows you to see that you can go in and take a look at it. And as a provider, you jump in, you look at it, you can see the result. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
All right, Nick's going to show the next one.
Now, let's take a look at that same kind of thing, except this time it's going to be ordered by the provider.
Switch to your other EHR. There you go.
All right, so currently now I am logged in as Dr. Pierce, and I'm going to go ahead and pick on Bobby Hill today. So again, we're going to go back down to our sick protocol and we're going to go to our lab component. And if I go to our lab orders, right here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to order the rapid strep.
Was it a rapid flu? Did I write the wrong thing down? Damn it. Go ahead.
We're going to go ahead and we're going to order a rapid flu this time. But again, so I am ordering it as the provider. I'm not actually going to be the one running the test. And so if I once more go ahead and hit that edit button in our order component, over here in the upper right hand corner, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select our generic or fake user per se of nurse MA. And so if I go ahead and select nurse MA, notice this has been ordered, but we still need the nurse to go ahead or the MA to come in and run the test and input the results. So for now, as provider, all I'm really going to do now is save the order. And next, the nurse will be able to
Where did it go? There you go.
Okay. And so, if I go back down and open up my Nurse MA instance of the EHR, I should now go ahead and see that task on my visit task queue. And I can see right here, we got Bobby Hill. There's a rapid flu that needs to be performed. As the nurse or MA, we would go ahead and jump right into, we can jump into the order itself. And we can go ahead and let's say we ran the test and we're going to go ahead and input our results. So just as Lynn just showed us before, let's say we're going to go ahead and input the results. Then we'll hit save. And again, we're going to come back and flip our visit status to results ready.
So my
Any
question
questions
is,
on
yeah,
that?
I got a question for you guys. Are you guys assigning orders to specific people in your offices? Is anyone doing that?
I actually have questions.
Yes.
Back, do you want to go to microphone?
Sure,
Yeah,
go to the
go on.
microphone. Unless you want us to toss you one. Here you go. No, just kidding. Jade, just kidding.
So yes, is this on?
Yes.
So yes, we are assigning, what we're doing, because when we do a lab order, there's like lots of steps and things to it, and that makes it difficult for our MAs to attach results back. So we created a follow-up order that's outside labs. And that is what we assign.
Oh, you're talking about send out.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to those.
Oh, we're not in
This
that?
is just in office.
Okay. Can I still ask my question?
Sure. Well, if it's send out though, I'll make you wait. But go ahead.
Well, it may be the same.
Okay.
Because you said you didn't have to assign a user.
Right.
I think ours automatically gets assigned.
Memory.
Is it because we have a sticky?
It's sticky
Okay.
memory. If you've
So
done it once.
If we went in and took
yeah.
it out a couple times, it would stop assigning it?
If you take it out once for each order, it'll stop. But if it's there and it's not doing anything weird, just why bother taking it out?
I'll be back, guys, when we're doing outside labs.
Yeah. God, you had me. You said something that made me think of something, and being 58 and a half, it's just gone. Cool, my turn?
Yes.
Okay.
I think next we're going to take a look at overnight labs.
Yeah, so this is a send out. Okay, now I'm like, did we put them in the wrong order? I don't have page numbers on here. All right, so let's talk about overnight labs. Now, before we do this, because we might totally skip this, does anyone in here do labs in office, overnight labs in office? Like, no, keeping them in office and doing, so what are you guys doing? Throat culture? Urine culture. That's great, because that's my example. Okay. So sorry, the rest of you have to watch this, because we have one person that does this. So it's interesting, fewer and fewer clients are doing in-office overnight labs or 2-day labs. But you do it, right? So we're going to talk about it. How do you guys do it? Who orders it?
The doctor or the nurse,
Okay,
either or.
either or. Okay, so we're going to go to Elroy. Oh, that's amazing. We're doing a telemedicine visit and we're doing a lab. We didn't pay attention to all our examples very well, obviously. So we're going to go to the lab and we are going to do if I can type right, urinalysis send out. Wait, is that what I'm doing? I'm doing it in office. Oh my God. I think I was doing, not the dipstick. This one. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go ahead and order that. Now, again, as the nurse, in this case, guess what? It's a pending lab, right? It's not a lab that, you want to make sure you remember you got to finish it, right? So you can't not assign this one, okay? You also have to give it a facility. Hopefully you guys have it set up so it automatically goes to your office. If you have multiple locations, you can make it go to the appointment location. But you are going to send it to a user, and in our case, we're going to use the overnight lab. Okay, again, fake user. We're big proponents of fake users because when you send it to a person and they call in sick and nobody else is looking at their stuff, it's just not going to happen. All right, so we're going to go ahead and collect the specimen. You're going to save the order. Okay, there are no results. You're not going to do a results ready. That's it. Okay, and then later on, we're going to show you what happens when you actually come in the next day and you look at the order. But I think Nick's going to show you the provider-nurse interaction.
Yeah. So next, again, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to jump into my provider instance of the EHR. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up this chart right here. And we're going to go down to our visit protocol, jump into our lab component. Again, it was CNS, I believe.
You're in
Urine
CNS.
Yep.
This is what happens when Lynn forgets to write it on the piece of paper.
Here's the thing, it says Wednesday Adams, but she wasn't even on the
Oh.
schedule. So, as a provider, I'm going to go ahead and place this order. But I'm going to go ahead and edit. And over here in the upper right-hand corner, again, as Lynn mentioned, this will typically pull in your practice by default if you have it configured correctly. But again, similar to how we use the generic Nurse MA user in our last example, we have our generic overnight lab user as well. And once more, I'm going to go ahead and add the task for the nurse to go ahead and prepare or collect the specimen as well. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that task type, and this I'm going to go ahead and put over to the Nurse MA. And if I go ahead and save my order, I'm done. I've done everything that I need to do on my end as the provider. And so the nurse or MA would again be able to go ahead and find that task right on their visit tasks queue. And I can go here, and I can see right here I have my task to collect a specimen for this urine CNS lab. And I'm going to go ahead and collect the specimen so I can complete that task by checking that box, and I'll go ahead and hit save. And now I've already completed my task of collecting the specimen. And now we wait overnight to see the results.
All right, so come back tomorrow, and we'll finish this one. Right? Right? We got to do it tomorrow. We got to wait 24 hours.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
We're going to go to lunch early. No. Okay, I think it's my turn.
Yep.
All right, so luckily for you guys, last night at 9:30, I ordered some labs for today. Okay? Oh, and you know, you didn't catch what we forgot. We ordered labs, and we forgot one big thing. Hold on, I'm going to go to Elroy. Does anyone know what we forgot to do? Nick does.
I mean, one thing that I also would have shown is maybe put the due date out.
Yeah, we didn't change the date until
Yep.
tomorrow. That's exactly what we didn't do. You should be changing the date to tomorrow. Because you don't want it on your queue today. You don't care. Okay, it's for tomorrow. And you, who did you do? Bam Bam? No, you did Bart. So I'm gonna just change these guys so you'll see they're not there. They'll magically disappear. All right, I'm logged in as Nurse MA. It's tomorrow. I walk in and I see, hold on. I've got certain users that I always use, right? When I log in, you filters, right? Okay. You may not have overnight lab as a default filter. And if you don't, you can always go down and on the fly, add overnight lab, and we'll see what's outstanding for the overnight lab, okay? And the reason I say don't necessarily add it, because you're only gonna be looking at things once a day, so I don't know. You can take them out, you can add them, you can leave them, it's up to you guys. When you do get the overnight, again, I had a due date for today, these guys didn't show up to today. I come in the office, I look at my little cultures, I say, ooh, fuzzy things. And then I go in and I put in my results. There's a lot of results in here. I don't know, do you guys put in this much stuff every time?
For urines?
Yeah, it's way too much work. Anyway, You know I don't know the answer to these things, so, there's not, hold on. Yeah. Why didn't it take my A? A. Have you guys noticed that you can put anything in these boxes? It doesn't care. So you're putting in your results. You're probably typing this better than I am because this keyboard's a little high for short people. We set up the keyboard for Nick height. All right, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and save that. If I wanna make sure the provider sees it, okay, because they're not gonna think to go back, right? You might do a signature required. Do you guys put it on their signing queue so they see it? You don't?
We put an add task.
You add a task, okay. So you can do either, and I've seen practices do it both ways. I have some providers that are adamant, they don't wanna have to look at more than one queue.
Sure. Task is what gets buried, so it's adding
Right, yep.
a signature line for sure to see.
Yeah, so if we have providers that like put everything on my signing queue, and so their staff knows, don't add a task for the provider, just click on signature required so it goes on their signing queue. So that's really going to be per practice specific. It's not something that you guys are gonna, oh, I have to change. Yeah, we definitely have some providers that were like, and I get it. They now have to look at 3 different places for things, and they'd rather just look at one place for things, right? Okay, Nick, you're up.
Okay. Next.
I'm gonna hide behind you again. I can easily do that, it's great.
Next thing we're going to take a look at is a send out lab order. And so, this time I'm going to go ahead and pick on Bam Bam. And so, if I go down here to my sick visit protocol, and we jump into our lab component. It's a good idea of a send out CBC, or, yeah. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and order a CBC lab. And doing so, I can go ahead and select that. Now, if the specimen is collected in office, we're going to do what we just did before. So once we place the order, we're going to go ahead and edit our lab order. But since we need this specimen collected, we're going to add a task of collect specimen and assign it to our nurse. So we'll go ahead and choose collect specimen. Over here on the right hand side, I'll go ahead and select nurse MA. And I will go ahead and save this order. So, again, that's going to land right on the visit task queue. And so is the nurse. You can go ahead and jump over to the visit task queue here. I can see we have a CBC. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to complete that task. And so down here on the bottom, let's say we went ahead and we collected our specimen. I'm going to mark our task completed box here. Next, we want our results. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. But if I add another task, I'm going to go ahead and add a task type of results needed because this is a send out lab and we are still waiting on on the results here. So if I go ahead and do results needed, and over here on the right hand side, we have another fake user called pending lab. And so for the pending lab user, it's going to give you an opportunity to go ahead and see all of your labs that are out there and pending that we still need results in the queue. And again, we don't need this on our queue right now, so maybe we'll put this date out a week or so. And we'll go ahead and hit save.
Dun, dun, dun. This is where I have a question for you guys. So we might need the mic. I only have 30 minutes. Oh, man. Jerry just made me lose my train of thought. Thanks, Jerry. It was about Sundial Labs. Oh, how many of you guys don't even do a pending lab? You just order it, and if they go, they go. If they don't, they don't. How many of you are actually tracking outstanding labs?
We track.
You track them? Is everyone tracking them?
We draw in-house and send out.
Oh, you draw in-house. Cool. Okay. I'm just curious because every once in a while we have a new client that doesn't. They're like, we're just ordering. If they go, they don't go. They don't.
We use to generate lab requisitions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we have issues with the way that works.
But do you track whether or not they're going? So do you use the pending lab user, or do you just say, here's your lab requisition form, go do it, and if they don't, you're not following up?
Well, because once we get the labs back, we have to.
But what if you
see which ones they did.
don't,
Yes, we
what
do.
if you don't get labs back ever?
We do track them. And there's
Okay.
They have like a queue.
Yep.
But it's like,
Oh.
it's a bane of our nurse's existence.
Yeah.
Because it's like months later.
Right, you have this huge list of outstanding labs.
What do you do with this kid? It's like the labs are a total mess at our office.
So it's a huge malpractice risk if you don't track the labs, right? Because the nightmare is somebody
Right.
has a lab you have to act on. And we don't have it as much in pediatrics because we don't have the mammogram. That's the classic example of what really burns you. Suspicious finding needs follow-up, and then the woman has terrible cancer months later. But it is really important. We should all do it. One of the wishes that I've had in the bug file for 4 or 5 years is that there are other ways you can do this where you could tell it, okay, if I'm ordering chromosomes, I expect that to take 7 days to come back. And so
Right.
build it by the system so we'd know if I order a long lab, give me plus 7 days. If I order a today lab, put it on the list of things to follow for later today. The other wish I would have is that if it's coming back electronically, you can do cool stuff where you could maybe close out the pending lab, and then that would decrease the giant pile.
Yes, so let's talk about that.
And
First
then
off,
I have
yeah,
another wish,
Yeah.
because I can't help myself, which is that one of the cool things our former scanning EMR did was that when you would try to acquire a document into the chart when there was a pending lab, it would pop up and say, are these the droids you're looking for, right?
These are outstanding orders.
Document into the
These
chart.
are- yeah.
I can't read it because it's a PDF.
Right.
Is this the basic metabolic panel you're waiting to come back?
Right.
And then it would automatically close that so someone didn't have to go think, oh,
Yeah.
look, there's an orange dot, I need to
Yeah.
close out.
Yeah, so one thing, I had the exact same wish you had when they came out with the order,
Right.
not the order by, but the other one,
Electronic.
the date
The date,
where we
the
changed.
+7 for
Yes.
chromosomes.
Wouldn't that be cool if the lab's configuration, you could say, I expect the result in 7 days, and that would be the automatic due date?
Because if you could make lab tracking native to the application, you're
Yes.
creating
Yeah.
better clinical care around
So
prevention malpractice.
part of this is going to be fixed when we do bidirectional labs, because when we do bidirectional labs, you will be sending out a lab order number.
Right.
It will come back with that lab order number, and things can be completed automatically. But that's not happening today, but they are starting to look into it. So it is on the roadmap down the road. That's the interoperability people. I think Jen Marcello talked about it on Wednesday. That was yesterday, right? Yeah. No.
Is there an
Yes.
open order report?
Is there an open order report?
Probably.
Wow. Probably. Does anyone know?
Report library.
The report library. You can run reports to see what orders are still outstanding. Yeah, because you're right, you're going to get that huge list. You do.
Labs, there's like,
There are.
the
So,
doctors aren't as good at clicking their boxes, right?
yes,
And
yes.
signs and-
And that's why we also have the outstanding tasks right there so you can tell and fix them. So Dr. Diasio, the clients that aren't doing it for the tracking, they're doing it for the labs that don't matter as much if they don't get a result, but for the ones that need a result, they are tracking them. They are doing pending labs so they can track them. But-
I guess, Angie, your wish there would be, let us decide as the super user, what are the labs that count, what are the labs
Right, what are the labs that need follow-up and what are the labs that don't need follow-up? Isn't the wishing well happening now? We should all just go to the wishing well. What was the question? What was your comment?
All labs need follow-up?
Don't all labs need follow-up.
Sometimes it's important and sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it's more important.
The trouble is you could still have a kid who went for a well visit and CBC, you know, CBC, and then 2 months later comes back, it's leukemia.
Correct.
But because
Right.
the darn lab that like faxes you, it never comes, because they're not electronic, it's the one.
Right,
lab.
right.
Then you're left with a leukemia kid without results.
So the comments that for those that are watching at home is that you should still follow up because even if it's a routine CBC, it might show you something you're not expecting.
Right.
Paraphrased?
Right, which is the why is like that's our mammogram.
Right, that's your mammogram example.
But, so it does need to be followed. It's just how to order labs, how to track labs, it is 10 years in, we're still struggling with how to do it in a workflow. We're using paper orders, and my staff puts in those orders once the results come back. For some of us, one of my partners does put the orders into PCC, and she creates a lab requisition from PCC, but she's like the only one because none of us are taking the time to do that because it's clicking. And so like, I don't know how people are doing it with you guys, but that's our issue.
Having a group
So-
of the SNAP, like the pre-college panel, that's very helpful.
You've already lost
So
your
you
voice.
Snap, you snap.
They use Snap Labs. Are you going to come back and talk?
Just so I don't have to use your microphone.
Because I've been breathing on it.
No,
It's
just
okay.
'cause I don't want to make you walk all the way back there.
All right,
I'm
thank
trying
you.
to- I'm just looking
Thank
out for
you.
you. Yeah.
You're the best.
So in our office, whenever we order a lab, we automatically create a task for the lab's lab queue so that we can track, and there are staff assigned to go through, and did they go, did we get results, et cetera. What I'm wondering, and this is maybe just an enhancement request, but while we're waiting for bidirectional to come, when that eLab result comes back, there is no way to open the chart and close that task in the same way that when we used to get faxes and it came into our document queue, you can, it's clunky, but you can open the chart, find the open task, close it, and then sign the document and deal with it. Is there any way to do that with an eLab result when it comes in?
Yes and no. It's kind of messier with eLabs if you have a task associated with it. Because when you're signing it, so if it's on your signing queue, that's where it's going to end up. You always have the ability to open the chart on the signing queue. Is it easy? No. No. So you know what some docs do? They sign it and then they assign a task to somebody else to deal with it.
So
Yeah, and
Can I
yes.
add to my question?
Yes.
Maybe this is the enhancement request part of it is, yes, it's super clunky. And one of the things that makes it the most clunky is if it's a document and I open task, I can sign and then go deal with the task.
Right.
Or sorry, if this is a document, I open chart, I can sign it and then save it and then go deal with the open task. And it's clunky but doable. With an eLab, if I open the chart, I can't sign it. And so I
Right.
have to go back.
You don't have to edit to sign it. If you
No, you can't. No.
No.
When you open the chart,
You gotta go back.
You go to the chart. You got to go back into.
gotta go back
it
to the
in your
signing
queue to
to
sign
do it.
and you have to open it all the way again to sign it, which is
Right.
fine, but so annoying.
I know.
So
I know.
anyway, I'll
I know.
think of you every time I have to do it.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Didn't Lisa
And that
do
is-
your EHR
and that is
implementation?
that
She's
is
right back there.
That is a blatant attempt to get my enhancement request up the list. You should all take notes.
If
I will
only
think
I
of you
had that sort
every-
of power to elevate enhancement requests. Yes.
I don't know if you're doing this, but in the signing queue, when you're
I can
signing
stand
it,
in
you
front of
scroll down and you make a messaging task, which is at the bottom. That then creates a phone encounter for you. So at least that's, like, I do that, and then I can sign it, and then there'll be a task assigned to, so it's like, and then in my phone queue.
Call a parent with a result, right.
And then it also shows up on your visit history as elapsing, so that's helpful.
So you're doing it from the eLab results,
From the signing queue. is
from the
where-
signing queue.
When you scroll
you're in
down to the
reports.
bottom, messaging tasks.
Oh, yeah, I was just showing the
Oh,
orders
the
report.
reports.
Yeah.
And it makes it a phone message.
Yeah, so on the signing queue. Oh, you may have to go to the eLab results, Nick, and actually,
Put it to the signing queue.
yeah, grab Dr. Pierce. I guess you can only grab Dr. Crusher.
Sure.
And then we'll just have to change your signing queue. Do you want me to hold that?
Yes.
I'll just double mic while Nick's typing. So we're going to do an eLab. And you can thank Betty at PCC for giving us eLab results on our training database. You may have to, yeah. Yeah, you can't. Nope. Try another one. Oh, because you're on the phone, nope. So, except unsolicited, there you go. And then you can pick Pierce.
Now we can pick Dr. Pierce.
And that'll be the, yeah, click on that. Oh, man. We don't have a Quest facility. Did you just give us Quest results? See, we didn't prepare for this question, so it's all Quest. Great. So add a Quest facility, but it's not going to be an eLab facility, so we can't do it. All right. But yes, when you're doing an eLab, you can do a task as part of the eLab signing. And that's what you're talking about?
It goes to messaging, not a task.
Right.
Messaging task.
It's a messaging task, but yes, yes, yeah.
It doesn't go to that awful
Right,
task.
right. And we're not going to argue with any of you. So this is like best practices, but we get that the best practices for send out labs is not optimal. Let's use that word. It's not optimal, but we're hoping our interrupt team, once we get those bidirectional lab interfaces, a lot of this clunkiness should go away. That's my theory. That's your theory too, right? Lisa, just nod for me, thanks. You're the best.
So if we had an eLab, that's not bidirectional, that's just getting results from.
And that's what we have now. We have results-only interfaces.
And so then eventually we'll be able to send an order to that lab, and we'll have to know which lab they're going to. Or no, yeah.
Yeah, there'll be the interface will be live. You'll send it. When the result comes back, it knows exactly who it comes to. And if I assume what they will do, I don't know, they haven't designed it yet. But in theory, it'll come back and close everything so it closes the loop so you don't have this open loop.
Right, but if you're still in design, that would be a great wish, to have
Yeah.
it auto-close and then to maybe
Yeah.
have a separate list for eLab pending.
Right,
And, I mean, that would really be a huge help.
yeah.
Hi. So this is all relatively new to me, but we have started in our practice to put in a task for any labs, for send-out labs. We do a pending lab, and then we to med assist, and it sits in our visit tasks.
Yep.
So once it comes in from the lab, we just close that task, and it allows for us to see any labs that haven't come in or labs that take a longer time to just keep watching it. And I'm basically, with our MAs, you know, I can see any labs that have taken an extended period of time.
Right.
Or any labs that have floated in space for whatever reason.
Yep.
And have not resulted, which has been very helpful, I think, to our practice and finding labs ultimately that are not resulted.
Right.
For whatever reason.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that flow?
Sure.
Concisely. So you as a are you a provider?
I'm a nurse.
The nurse, you order
So if the provider orders a send-out lab, whatever it is, and not only is it, so they order it and the task is done to send out the lab, but then the MA will also put another task, and it is to pending lab, and then med assist.
So is that your task type?
Yeah, yes, the task type is pending lab.
Pending lab, and then your user,
My user.
your use is med
Med
assist.
assist.
Okay,
And then it'll pop up in the visit task.
right,
And it will just sit there until the lab shows up.
Yep.
And then we'll close the task.
right. But then again, there's that loop that you have to go back and close.
Correct. It is.
Yeah.
But it's, number one, it's an easy loop.
Okay.
And number two, I know the lab comes back.
So is it the person that's linking the eLab to the patient doing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So some practices, they don't. And the provider then thinks they need to do it. But yes, whoever's linking it, it makes sense for them to close the loop.
Right, I mean, I'm sure it ends up being me.
Yeah.
But then that enables me to keep track of
Right.
what labs are
What's out.
outstanding. So then I can go to the provider and say, you know, the CBC is applied, or if there's a stool sample that takes 7 days, this is still outstanding, or for whatever reason, like we just had a stool sample that was lost, like, and I don't know where in transition it was lost, which is another issue. And actually, that's my question. I'm wondering if anyone here, when you put in your lab orders, you know, we go through PCC, do you go through your lab directly? I don't know if there is.
So are you using like the Quest online ordering, the LabCorp online ordering, or any hospital online ordering? Is anyone doing that?
We don't do online, we like the lab, we send our urines out to, we have their lab requisitions, so we have Quest requisitions. So the things, specimens we send out, we use their lab requisitions, but not online. But for our actual like labs to be drawn in Quest, we actually, one partner does a lab requisition through PCC orders.
Yeah.
We had snap tests if we could do that better. I would have a handwritten Peds thing, and I click off, and then it has to go to the front, and has to scan it in. My scribe writes down what labs they are, but then they're not actually has it in a text box, so when they come in, my staff then creates.
You do what?
Order for them. It's a total process, so don't do what we do.
Don't do what they do. Thank you. Don't do what they do.
It's a total mess.
That is.
It's a total mess.
Do you know how easy it is to do a lab requisition form?
Yes, you're welcome. Just generate a requisition.
Well, that I can still do that in the chart with the patient.
Yeah.
But it's right there, it's one click.
It's one click.
Then you print it out.
But then,
We have to put that one.
What do you mean it doesn't always print out correctly?
Cut off part of the text.
Okay, then that can be fixed. Okay, that's a form. It's a form. Talk to your client advocate.
But I find
We can do a little reformatting there.
is that
Then that's where.
once
Yeah.
those labs leave our office,
Yeah.
if it's dropped in the street, how do I know when
You-
it leaves my office that it gets to the lab?
You can't.
I don't.
You don't. You don't. Never.
But they have it on the portal, they can print it from the portal.
With my direction, it'll be easier to do it.
Right, or if you do it from their lab, like
If you do it through their system, you'll know they didn't get it.
they know what labs are coming.
Okay.
What labs to expect.
Yeah.
And look for.
But if you're tracking, but if you put in, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but if you.
Okay, you have to wake up to the mic though, because you're very soft-spoken.
If you create a task that says, I need to track this lab, and it's popping up, and you haven't gotten a result in the expected number of days, then you know it got lost somewhere. Or it got assigned to the wrong patient. That's the only way to know.
Yeah.
Because and even when there's bi-directional, maybe Quest will call you in 2 days and say this patient hasn't shown up yet. But you're relying on Quest or whoever does your lab to have a time.
To be proactive.
And like, there's no way. They're not going
Right.
to call you after a month and say.
Oh, I agree with that, but at least like, you know, we can have some sort of tracking or something that.
We're never getting to
I
referral.
was just gonna say, like, I was gonna cut this out too, because it's more or less the
Yeah,
same, but
yeah, yeah.
We're trying to work through it. It sounds like
this would be the way you want to.
Yeah.
No.
So wait, who's your client advocate?
Sabina.
Sabina. We got to chat with Sabina about getting you a better lab rec form.
We set it up and we had it all going in the beginning, but it's not.
Yeah, you can reformat that lab rec form. Who's not using the lab rec form? Just,
So we have created a lab form in the forms console.
Yes.
People just got used to going.
just going to the form.
And then we also have 2 different places we go for labs, so it's not just one lab.
Okay, so yes, it can be. There are ways to do one lab form for 2 different locations because it prints the lab form. 2, you're probably typing a lot more into your form letter than you would with the lab rec form, which will find the diagnosis, find the order numbers, and everything you need to put on it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That
You have to do the diagnosis first if you want it on the lab rec form, yes.
We just need to have snap tags. We just need to put.
Snap lab orders.
But we haven't done it, that doesn't work in 10 years because we
Yeah.
did it and then we never did it.
Right. And that's why you come here, so you see what you need to fix after so many years.
You don't necessarily need snap lab orders. You can order individual tests.
Yeah, but then that's just every click I
We're not
make
getting into
is
Yes.
more moment, right? It's like,
Right.
As opposed
We'll see.
to pulling out a lab slip, filling it
way
out.
faster. Handwritten list is way faster.
Way faster.
Don't fight. Don't fight. No fights.
No offense.
California people. Okay, come on, California people. I know.
But do your nightmare. If you is there a report for pending e-labs?
Is there a report for pending e-labs?
That was my question.
Only if you create a task. I don't think you can report on pending e-labs. I'm gonna have to ask
you need
someone
to
that.
create a
That's
task.
exactly my question.
What?
A task, yeah.
I think a task has to be associated with it in order for you to run a report
On my wishing well.
on your wishing well. Exactly. Yeah, it would be cool.
Two things. One, if you're gonna order a bunch of labs, like 5 of them, what Lynn told me is only make a task for one of them. So if you do a CBC and a metabolic panel, only have an open task for one of them. Otherwise, you'll have 5 open tasks for one lab order.
That might be what we
So
try.
that's one thing that made it less of a nightmare. And to subject a little bit, going back to the strap stuff.
Yeah.
I'm curious how other people do it. In our office, we do the strap at the end usually, and we actually say you can leave the office. And the MA will text you if it's negative, and we'll call you if it's positive. How do the nurses let you know? Because we don't use the results ready because usually the patient's already gone. We have them using it posted on our desk. They have any great ideas?
Do the strap at the beginning.
Yes.
That's what we do.
That's amazing, but I don't trust
I
anything.
think there's been a lot, because I had a lot of times, I'm like, no, you don't, this is not strap. Oh,
So,
this is-
Or we do I do the strap, I hand it to her, and then I finish my task. By the time I'm done charting, the strap's done.
so
Yours
here's,
can also be 20 minutes.
okay, here's my suggestion, okay? Create a visit status. I'm big on visit statuses, right? A visit status that says pending lab,
Or positive result.
or no, just pending lab, so you know something's outstanding so somebody doesn't mark them as gone. That's the key. You don't want your staff to mark them as gone, and then you can use the results ready to let you know it's ready. So you can go look at the chart. But the key is, the reason you can't use that status is because your staff is marking the patient as gone because they've left. But if you have a status that signifies they shouldn't be doing that, that allows you to get the results ready, see it, and then once somebody reads the result, then they can mark the patient as gone. How's that sound? Off the cuff.
You got about 5 minutes.
I know, I'm like, we don't end at noon, do we? That would have been a 50-minute meeting. Everyone's leaving, is that what you said? Oh, you guys are gonna be last for lunch. Sorry. There will be no silverware left. All right,
12:05 is what it's.
to 12:05. Linda, question,
So for
comment.
those of you that keep your open labs, let's say it's not lost, the parent never did it.
Yeah.
They walk out with a requisition that knows that they're gonna, we say, get the CBC done, in the next 7 to 10 days. At your convenience, not urgent today, just something we need to follow up on, whatever, historical, family stuff. How often do you call that parent and say, did you do your labs? No, I'm gonna do it next week. Did you do your labs? No, I'm gonna do it in 30 days. I mean, when do you close that lab, and do you just say, follow it up with parent, not having it done at this time, we'll revisit it, or we'll address it the next visit?
That's
How do you do that?
that's a great question. I want to know what the answer is, because how many times do you reach out before you say, I mean, you can't be doing it every week for 7 months, right? Here comes Dr. Diassi. I knew he was coming up.
We struggle with this. There's no right answer. I think everybody does it their own way. I think our staff, some of it says the obesity labs are people are least likely to do it for.
Getting ready to stand.
Moms worried about their kids, and maybe that leukemia has a pretty high rate of actually showing up. And so we've done it other different ways. Sometimes we will call, we try to build a process where we send letters. I actually like what my internal medicine doctor does the best. where he gave me, when I went to go get labs last time, an order that says, this is only good for 1 month. And if you don't go within 1 month, we'll automatically cancel the labs out. And so it's printed on there that the person drawing the lab shouldn't do it if it's been longer than a month. Because that's the thing that you're really afraid is going to burn you, right? That something's going to come back you're not looking for, and it's going to be the kid with leukemia. But there's no easy way to do this. The only way to really solve the problem is to draw all the labs in your own office.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
But like that's, you know, so if you ever, we haven't talked about this in a long while because of the pandemic, but this conversation is going to make me go back and have that conversation again with my partners, because if you think about the staff time that you're spending chasing stuff,
Yeah.
if you just draw it in your own lab, if they decide not to stop by the draw station, you've got your answer. They just decided not to do it. And the thing I was going to sort of yes and to her question was, how do you then document that in the EMR? Because if you mark the lab as canceled, when you print the note, I don't think the canceled labs show.
Yeah.
We mark it as refused.
Yes.
But it's kind of not really refused. It's the same thing.
But it is. Yeah.
No, I think the lawyer might, argue a little differently. I would almost rather have another status, did not go, or something
Right.
like that.
Well, you can also mark it as refused and put it in the note, contacted them 3 times with no
Sure,
result.
But what if I can run reports and say, oh my gosh, 80% of our obesity labs didn't go. Now
Yeah.
I've got an argument that having a phlebotomist is really worth it if those labs are important to me.
Right.
So.
Cool. So,
We have time.
yes, we have time. We're not going to get to the referral workflow if you haven't figured that out yet. But that's okay, because I like
This
discussions.
may be a totally naive question.
We ignited a discussion.
Probably 95% of labs are drawn in-house, like really the majority. So like all of this chasing, we don't do. I mean, there are ones that say, we live, whatever, in Westchester, and all come in. I'm just curious, why would you choose not to do your labs in-house? Time?
Well, of course, we don't have a phlebotomist. And
But
we
we
don't
don't have a
But we
phlebotomist.
don't have a CLIA weight. All we do are CLIA weight tests. We don't do any other type of test in our lab.
So do you draw your own lab?
Order gets done, they do that, everybody needs that 1 and 2, or 9 months, whatever. If I have a sick kid who's 3 and I need to draw the blood, I'll do the blood. Or if I have an adolescent who I know really well, is like, I don't like needles, okay, it takes me a minute and a half, 2 minutes, right?
Well, I've been drawn blood in about 20 years. So it's, I trained in New York, so I did drain my blood.
So maybe
Because I
just
did a lot
wondering
of
if we're
procedures
doing
in New York, but it's been 20 years since California. My residency, I didn't do any drawing.
Okay, I'm just wondering if there was something that people are like, you guys are silly for doing that, because it seems like it's much less work in terms of chasing.
We do all my amazing.
Yeah, yours would be tough to train, because you're.
No, they all do it, we train all our MAs to do all
Right.
their own thing.
That's what I'm saying, so your patient population.
They would never go to the lab.
You have to, they would
Yeah.
never go to the lab.
Never.
All right,